Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2009 X-Men movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine. The film is directed by Gavin Hood and it stars Hugh Jackman, Liev Schreiber, Ryan Reynolds, Danny Huston, will.i.am, Lynn Collins, Kevin Durand, and Taylor Kitsch. Now, this tells the origin story of Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman. Now, after the end of the X-Men trilogy that we got, and I suppose many would regard the disappointment of The Last Stand, they decided to go in like a new direction and give us, obviously, an origin story for Wolverine, because, you know, whether you like it or not, he was the most popular character in the three X-Men films, so it made sense to kind of focus on this character. Now, the film focuses on Wolverine's life from a young boy, and we get to see him team up with his half brother, who is essentially played by Liev Schreiber, Victor Creed, i.e. Sabretooth. They kind of grow up together. They take part in many world wars, living very long lives, and then essentially he is recruited by Danny Huston's character Stryker, who we saw played in the second X-Men film. And he is recruited into like this specialist mutant military team, but he doesn't like the direction the team's going in. He sees them as too violent, too brutal, and he decides to leave. But he also leaves behind his brother, Victor. Years later, he is happy. He's working as a logger, he's met the love of his life, and he is approached once again by Stryker, saying that someone's killing his team, and it turns out it is Victor. Wolverine thinks his beloved is murdered by Victor, and he vows revenge, and the only way he can get his revenge is if he becomes Weapon X, and he gets the adamantium applied to his bone structure. And then he figures out that he's been betrayed. Right, what are my thoughts on X-Men Origins Wolverine? Well, I think I'm not going to lie, I've always really quite liked this film. I think there's a lot to enjoy in this film. I think Hugh Jackman's performance, he has, absolutely nailed the character by this point. He's feral when he needs to be, he's gentle when he needs to be. His physique has developed into, the proper Wolverine physique. And it's nice to see, them try and portray his early life, growing up. It's obviously at odds with the first X-Men because we were introduced to Sabretooth in that film, and it's not the same Sabretooth. So it's kind of at odds with what we've seen before. But you can there's some parts of the film that you can kind of come to terms with, and there's others that you absolutely can't, and I think you know where I'm going with that one. We'll talk about that later. So Hugh Jackman's performance is absolutely fine. Liev Schreiber almost steals the film as Victor Creed. He's an excellent villain in the film, or anti-hero, whatever. He kind of blurs a line as to who he is really in the film. And Danny Huston, he's on good form as the villain as well here. So you've got some cool performances going on. We've got Taylor Kitsch's Gambit that, I think they did a pretty good job with getting Gambit on the screen, and a lot of people were excited to see Gambit. And, the action is well done. There's some nice set pieces. But I think we all know where I'm going with this. The arse falls out of this film. With the whole Wade Wilson thing, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Well, in actual fact, at the end, it's not even Ryan Reynolds, it's Scott Adkins that does most of the Deadpool stuff, the acrobatics and the martial arts and all that kind of stuff. It's Scott Adkins. But, yeah, they absolutely shut out Deadpool here and completely wound everybody up that were fans of Deadpool. And Ryan Reynolds was so desperate to play the character, he actually approached the film to ask if he could be in it. Probably at that point he thought that was the only way he was ever going to get Deadpool on screen. But thankfully he has redeemed the character. We all know this. But at the time, it was an abomination to the Deadpool character. And I think it probably would have been better not calling him Deadpool at all. Well, not presenting the Deadpool character in that way at all, and maybe named it something else. I've just left it as, Weapon 11 or whatever. But no, it was terribly done, and it kind of leaves a sour taste in the mouth, if you like, when you leave the film, which is a real shame, because I think leading up to that terrible reveal of Deadpool, the film, I thought, was of a decent standard. Very watchable. The effects were very good. The new mutants that we got to see was pretty cool. There's some fun moments in it as well when he's in the boxing ring with Blob. The whole Will.i.am thing, I didn't really understand. Well, I don't think his performance is terrible. It's very clear he's not an actor. And I don't actually know if he's been in anything since this film. I don't recall seeing him in anything, so that says a lot here. And there's other things you can point your finger at here. The chemistry between Hugh Jackman and the character that was playing his love interest in the film wasn't really there. I would have liked to have had him a little bit more time with the old couple in the farm to really feel the impact of their deaths. I think that didn't do enough for you to kind of feel the impact of their deaths, and for him to really be so upset about it. But it's a well-made film. Where it stands on the X-Men films, I mean, the X-Men franchise has been tweaked and twiddled and messed about with different timelines and different characters being portrayed at different times, and it's just kind of like, it's a bit of a mess really when you actually consider it. But if you kind of put your mind out of all that and just kind of watch this film and you just enjoy it for what it is, there is definitely a lot of fun to be had here with this film. There's a lot of fun moments in it. Hugh Jackman is fully on point here. Lee Schreiber is, in my mind, the definitive Sabretooth, and I believe we're going to see him again in Deadpool 3. But I think we're going to get a lot of cameos in Deadpool 3, so I suspect he's not going to be on screen for long, if he's in it at all. But yeah, I enjoy this one. I know it gets a lot of hate, and the hate it gets, it fully deserves. But I think it's unfair just to judge a film just on one huge poor decision and a couple of errors along the way in this film. I think it's an entertaining entry into the X-Men franchise. And I know Hugh Jackman has publicly said he was disappointed with the film, so you've got to take that on board as well. If Hugh Jackman himself wasn't that keen, it does say a lot, which is why they wanted to come back and do something a little bit different and a little bit special with the Wolverine. Did they succeed? Well, you'll have to wait for when I get around to reviewing that one. But for the most part, this is a good addition. Definitely worth checking out if you've never seen it, certainly. And if you haven't seen it for a long time because of, what in the film, maybe give it a good another chance. It might have aged a little bit better than you actually thought. So thanks for watching, guys. I will be back, of course, with plenty more reviews, and I will, of course, continue to review the X-Men franchise, and I will see you very, very soon back on the channel.